we have Arofiatus, we have Yalmiadi, we have Janet, Veronica, Caroline, Sunny, Ulfa, Betty. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming. Arofiatus, we have Yalmiadi,
No,
we have Janet, Veronica, Caroline, Sunny, Ulfa, Betty. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming. Yalmiadi,
no,
Veronica, Caroline, Sunny, Ulfa. What happened?
Yeah, all good, all good.
Okay.
Okay, all good. Yeah.
So we are ready to start.
Yes.
Okay. The recording already, YouTube or recording. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone.
Already.
So welcome to our TNC Advanced Club Center Stage, home of established and aspiring trainers and coaches. Thank you all for tuning in. I am Agustinus Wijaya, your MC for today's Center Stage. For those of you who are new or visiting Center Stage for the first time, Center Stage is part of the Trainers and Coaches Advanced Toastmasters Club, which is set as a separate platform in order to give our members an opportunity to start practicing to speak professionally. It is an opportunity for members to showcase their specialty or present topics that they are passionate about. This can be anything from experiences, lessons, and stories that our members would like to share with us. All important and valuable takeaway for all of us. The Center Stage session is made up of two parts, speech presentation and Q&A session. For today's Center Stage, we have Toastmaster Andre Maure, who will share his experiences as an Indonesian teacher who has taught a big number of students and professionals from many different countries, including Australia, the UK, and the USA. Andre Maure is an online teacher and trainer. For the last 5 years, he's been teaching Indonesian to students and professionals from many different countries like Australia, the UK, and the USA. Since last year, he's been working for Balai Bahasa Indonesia Perth, BBIP, in Western Australia to teach them online Indonesian classes. He is very passionate about teaching, and he is going to teach his mother tongue and introducing Indonesian arts and culture through online Indonesian teaching to all his students. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to present to you Toastmaster Andre Maure on Center Stage with the topic Online Indonesian Teaching and Learning. Online Indonesian Teaching and Learning. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Andre Maure.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ditya Magus, for that wonderful introduction. And a very good evening to all Toastmasters from Indonesia and also from our neighbor countries, from Brunei, from Malaysia, from Australia, and also from India and from other countries that I cannot mention. 3 weeks ago, a professor from the School of Humanities at the University of Bristol emailed me and said that she wanted to do an online Indonesian private tutoring with me, not only to learn Bahasa Indonesia or Indonesian language, or BIPA, as what we usually call Bahasa Indonesia bagi penutur asing, which simply means Indonesian for speakers of other languages. But she also wanted to learn about Indonesian culture and history as part of her research project. After having the agreement on the course materials, the length of the course, the number of sessions, and the price, we finally started the first session on Tuesday, just a couple days ago. Before having the session with the professor, I had 2 online sessions, one with an engineer in renewable energy from San Francisco, and another one with an assistant producer at Offspring Films in Bristol, who used to work for BBC Bristol. At the weekend, I usually have a session with an English businessman living and working in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and another session with a Japanese police who is now based in Jakarta and working with the Indonesian National Police. Doing online Indonesian tutoring has been my main routine these days. Besides working with the private students that I mentioned earlier, I've also been working with students and professionals from different states in Australia, especially in WA, Perth. I also have students from the East Coast and the West Coast of the USA, and other students from several different countries in Asia and Europe. I feel truly blessed and grateful for having the opportunity to do this kind of work from the comfort of my bedroom here in my home, where I can spend most of my time with my parents and family here in my home island, Sumba. And this evening, I'd really love to share my experiences with you all. I'll walk you down the memory lane from the time I started my teaching career in Bali. And I'll also be giving you some insights into online Indonesian teaching and learning, as well as sharing with you all the opportunities and challenges of being an online Indonesian teacher. As you've heard from DTM Agus in the introduction earlier, I've been an online teacher and trainer. I started my career journey in Bali back in 2006. Not as an Indonesian teacher though, but as an English teacher. I used to teach English at several computer schools in Denpasar, the capital city of Bali. I used to teach at a big, even the biggest IT school there, that made me become more interested in computers, digital technologies, and online learning, even though I only taught English at the time. I was fascinated by education technologies, and I really loved working with computers. But in the beginning of 2013, I moved from the computer school to a big language school in Denpasar, Bali, called IALF, which stands for Indonesia Australia Language Foundation. This school runs different kinds of English and Indonesian language programs. It also runs joint programs with the Australian governments and institutions. All the Indonesian students who get the scholarship from the Australian government will have to do their EAP, English for academic purposes, and pre-departure training at this language school. Then after that, they go to Australia to do their master's or PhD courses at different universities in different Australian states. Besides running all these programs, IALF also work with corporates or companies, including hotels and restaurants in Bali, to run English programs for their staff or employees. And I had been actively involved in these programs as an English teacher since I joined IALF back in 2013. But my career as an Indonesian teacher began a year later in 2014. At the time, there's an annual reciprocal teacher visit, RTV program, for both Indonesian teachers in Bali and Australian teachers in WA, organized by IALF and WILTA. WILTA stands for Australian Indonesian Language Teachers Association. So every year there's a teacher from Bali, Indonesian teacher, going to Western Australia and spending a month there to visit primary schools or secondary schools or colleges to teach Bahasa Indonesia and to introduce Indonesian culture to Australian students. While an Australian teacher, usually during the summer break in Australia in January, would come to Bali, spend a month in Bali, and get the opportunity to take a 2-week intensive Bahasa Indonesia course before spending another 2 weeks teaching English at a local school in the suburb of Bali. The best thing about the program was that the language assistants or the participants of the reciprocal teacher visit RTV program from both countries would not only get the opportunity to experience working and teaching in a foreign country, but also to enjoy and experience the local culture and lifestyle, as well as trying different kinds of food or learning about culinary, especially for Australian teachers visiting Indonesia, because they can see lots of different kinds of food from Java, from Sumatra, especially nasi padang, yeah, with the beef rendang, with the sambal, the green chili sauce, everything. That's really, really nice. And me, myself, when I had the experience being in Australia, I also tried different food that I never, ever had in Indonesia. So for me, that's an amazing and wonderful experience. Never had I thought before that I would get such an opportunity to travel to Australia. I've been to Australia twice for being an Indonesian language assistant. First, I went to Western Australia in 2014, and then I went to New South Wales in 2016. In my second visit, I get the opportunity to visit 10 schools in the Diocese of Lismore in the northern coast of New South Wales, including a school in Wollongong. I also got the opportunity to travel to Canberra and Queensland at the time. I talked to Kaylin. I always love to go to Melbourne because I've never been there. Hopefully one day, Kaylin, I could go to Melbourne and I could see you. Yeah, so Kaylin is here. And the opportunity to travel to Australia, everyone, was one of the biggest motivations I had for joining the RTV, the Reciprocal Teacher Visit Program. As you've just heard, my career as a teacher of Indonesian language started with this teacher exchange program in 2014. Despite having little experience in teaching Bahasa Indonesia compared to my colleagues at the time, I approached the Indonesian program manager at ILF and expressed my interest in applying for the RTV program to WA from May to June 2014. It seemed that the manager saw my strong interest and willingness to go to Australia and become a language assistant. To tell you the truth, it wasn't easy for me to compete with other teachers who were also applying for the program. There were many more experienced teachers back then in the school where I work in Bali. However, I was the one who was given the opportunity with one condition though. I had to do some class observations outside my working hours, meaning that I had to work overtime without extra pay. I had to sacrifice my free time on weekdays to learn more from senior teachers during the classroom observations in order to be a good Bahasa Indonesia teacher. Long story short, my visa was granted and I could go to Perth in the middle of May in 2014. There I visited 17 schools in a month. I spent the first week in Bassendean and visiting 2 primary schools in Gooseberry Hill and Kalamanda. And I spent the second week in another town called Mandra in the south, visiting several schools there, including one school in Secret Harbor. So from the names of these places, you can imagine this west coast of Australia. In the third week, I went back to Perth and visited several primary schools and colleges. After that, I went up north to Geraldton, visiting 8 schools in that beautiful small town. Seeing the enthusiasm, motivation, and spirit of the Australian students for learning Indonesian language and culture had grown my interest and passion for doing Indonesian teaching programs. So after I finished doing the RTV program and came back to Bali, I focused on teaching Indonesian. Interestingly, there's a program organized by the Australian Ministry of Education through ESA called Education Services Australia. The program was called Language Learning Space that facilitated Australian students to learn foreign languages, 3 foreign languages, Chinese or Mandarin, Indonesian, and Japanese. To ensure this program runs successfully, ESA collaborated with a language school in China for the Mandarin tutoring program. They also collaborated with a school in Tokyo for the Japanese program. And as you can guess, they collaborated with IALF, the school where I work in Bali, for Indonesian tutoring program. The school in Bali at the time had to select and assign 4 Indonesian tutors, and I was one of them. Among the 4 tutors from the school in Bali, I got the most bookings for online sessions with students from Australia. I've been very familiar with Skype and Zoom since then, even before, long way before this pandemic. I work with students from Brisbane, Darwin, and Melbourne, and I also had students from Perth and Sydney, either primary schools or high school students. Unfortunately, the language learning space program had to come to an end in December 2016. So to find another challenge, I applied for a scholarship to continue my studies at the University of Bristol in the UK from September 2018 to September 2019. There I studied Learning, Technology and Society, a course that has helped me to be a better online teacher. While studying there in Bristol, I still did online Indonesian tutoring with a few of my Australian students because of my love for teaching my mother tongue to my students. And after completing my course in September 2019, I still had about 5 months before my graduation in February last year. So I went to the Indonesian embassy in London and I met the Indonesian Education and Culture Attaché to propose an Indonesian language program in Bristol. So we had a talk and he agreed to give some funding so I could run the Indonesian program called Let's Speak Indonesian in Bristol. And this program ran from November 2019 to December for 2 months, and only for 10 meetings. After successfully doing the first phase of the program, I had to write the report. I remember that was before New Year 2019, and I got very positive feedback from the attaché. And then he said, Andre, when's the second phase of the program starting? So I said, oh, okay, yeah, I could do it again, starting from January. And in January last year, I organized the program along with the Indonesian Students Association in Bristol. So many foreign students from several different countries, from Europe, from Africa, also from America, joined the program. And that was a great success, even though we couldn't do the last session because of the pandemic. That was a great success, and I could probably take a minute to share my screen of how I ran the Let's Speak Indonesian program in Bristol here, as you can see. Yeah, so we've got students from China, from England, from Russia, from Germany, also from Africa, as I mentioned earlier, and that was really, really nice. And to me, that was a great success. So having that experience teaching Indonesian there had made me more confident in running online Indonesian sessions. But when I went back to Bali last year, I found out that all schools, courses, campuses had to shut down because of the pandemic. That was really, really hard. And that's not easy. That was tough, but that didn't mean we couldn't do anything about it. Knowing that I couldn't work for any schools in Bali, I then focused on contacting friends and finding students from overseas who were interested in learning Bahasa Indonesia online with me. I remember I still had a couple of students doing the online Indonesian sessions with me in March last year. But as you can imagine, having only 2 students wouldn't be enough to sustain my life in Bali. I was worried and a bit hopeless. Fortunately, in the beginning of April last year, I was contacted by the manager of a language school in Perth, Western Australia. I was informed that they're moving their face-to-face classes online. All my doubt, hopelessness, and worries eventually disappeared when they offered me the job to teach their online classes. So since May last year, I've been working with this language school in Perth to teach their online classes. There are professionals and also teachers, especially primary school teachers, teaching Indonesian at primary schools in Western Australia. And besides that, I also do a lot of other private tutoring with students from the USA, from Japan, from Saudi Arabia, from Germany, and also from Belgium. And it's such a wonderful opportunity. And being a language or an Indonesian teacher to me is not only as a teacher to my students, but more than that, I also become the ambassador of my country, because I don't only teach the language, and we cannot really master the language without knowing the culture. One quote from Nelson Mandela that I always remember: if you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. And if you talk to him in his own language, that goes to his heart. So for all of you who haven't learned any foreign languages before, or I believe you have learned, but maybe you can start thinking of doing it and get the experience of learning new culture. And for those who are willing to be an online Indonesian teacher, I'd like to say that there are lots of opportunities these days. So you can just go online, and then, yeah, despite of the challenges in this pandemic, there are some blessings in disguise. All we gotta do is just to find the opportunities. That's all I can share with you. I hope you could learn something. Thank you very much, everyone. Now we can do the Q&A session. Yeah, back to you.
Thank you, Andre.
DTM Agus.
Everyone, please unmute your microphone and give Andre a big round of applause. Thank you very much, Andre, for sharing about the world of online teaching. With your sharing, I get to know better about what online teacher is facing and how you are thinking also about the culture, and not just about in teaching. You must understand the culture. And I love your quote on Nelson Mandela. If you can speak to a man with your own language, then it will stay in his head. But if you can speak to a man with their language, and it will stay in their heart. Yeah. So everyone, if you are interested about the world of teaching, if you want to become a teacher like Andre, teaching Bahasa Indonesia to foreigner, you may ask your question after this. And please unmute your microphone if you want to ask your question. Anyone would like to ask your question?
Yes.
Master Andre, yeah, go ahead and ask.
Hi, Andre.
Yes, Andre. Off you go.
Yeah, I'll be the one asking you questions because we're both teachers. And I feel like I need to ask you this question. Well, anyway, in 2014, I was in Fremantle, Australia as well, but I didn't know you yet, so I didn't.
Otherwise, we could have fish and chips together.
Okay, so Andre, I would like to ask you this question because this is something that I normally feel when I, the first time I come into the classroom, I always feel nervous. So do you ever feel nervous like the first time you teach or the first time you have your class sessions, especially with someone who is, let's say, professor or someone who is expert, like, okay, we're the native speakers of Indonesian language, but when we're teaching someone who is, let's say, professor or someone who is having this high degree of education, do you ever feel nervous in the beginning of your class session? And if you've ever felt this situation, how do you manage your nervousness? Because this is something I just want you to share with me and with everyone here, because probably some other viewers or listeners are teachers as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre, for that question. Being nervous is being human, Andre. Even at this moment, while I was delivering my speech, yeah, I was also nervous. Yeah, and it happens. Yeah, especially when you meet students who are, like more educated than you, the professors. But as a teacher of Indonesian language, you always know that you're the expert of that language and you always have something to deliver. And being open to your students, I think, is one of the keys to put yourself in safe situations, especially if they ask you and you don't know the answers. You got to be honest with them, but you promise that you can find the answer to their questions. And yeah, maybe it will take some time, but you can always come back and come with the satisfying answer to their questions. And building good rapport with them, yeah, treating your students as not only as your student in the classroom, but as partners, as friends, can make the situations even better, and it will, yeah, create a very good learning and teaching atmosphere between you and your students, no matter how yeah, better they are than you. I believe they can still respect you, and then they will always come back to you to learn something from you. So I hope this answered your question, Andre.
Thank you, Andre.
Yeah.
Can I ask one more question or? No.
Yeah, go ahead, and Andre.
Really?
Go ahead.
Really? Okay. I promise this is the last one because I'm really curious about this. Andre, do you ever feel or experience any language barrier when you teach Indonesian to foreigners? Like, when you teach to Australian or Americans? I know that we speak English, but sometimes, because English is not our native language, right? So it's our foreign language here. So do you ever experience this? Thank you.
Very, very good question, Andre. Yeah. Well, to tell you the truth, there are some things that don't really translate either from English to Indonesia or Indonesia to English. And sometimes there are things that you really cannot explain with words in another language. So this is really hard. Sometimes I I have to kind of show the pictures or all my students, maybe you can search on Google, see the pictures or see the images. So yeah, then it will help them understand what I really mean. Yeah, so it happens. Yeah, and it happened a lot when I was doing the Indonesian, Let's Speak Indonesian in Bristol, because the students not only from English-speaking countries, but they also came from Africa, and we've got students from India, and we've got students from Latin America who have different cultures. And so sometimes, yeah, even between Indonesian and English, we've got lots of differences. And to compare with other languages and cultures, it would be even more challenging. But the good thing is that you can always try to see the differences as something that you can celebrate and then enjoy and have fun with. Yeah, so the good thing was I had lots of assistants, the Indonesian Students Associations, who helped me in running the program as speaking partners to the participants of the program in Bristol. So if I couldn't explain, then my friends would be there to share their answers. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, yeah, so it exists, and yeah, so by having more experience and trying to learn more about that as well can help you overcome this. Yeah, so that's all I can share with you.
How long is it going to take to learn a new language? Suppose if you're doing
Manoj, could you speak a bit louder? Sorry, I can hardly hear you.
How long it is going to take for a normal, for a working professional to learn a new language?
Very good question. Very good question, Manoj. Yeah, I've got students who always ask these questions, but to tell you the truth, I cannot answer that question because there are many factors that influence someone's achievement in learning a language. For some people, they can learn within 3 months. For some others, they can learn even quicker or even longer than that. Yeah, so it comes back to their commitment. It comes back to the time that they spend in practicing and using the language, not only during their sessions, but also outside the learning times. So it's very subjective, and I think different person will have different answers to that, Manoj. Yeah, so that's from my experience.
I will
Yeah.
take it as 3 months. Since you mentioned the 3 months, I will take it as 3 months.
Yeah.
You have given us.
For the basics, we usually use 40 hours. Yeah, of intensive practice, 40 hours. Yeah, but not 40 hours within a day or in 2 days. Yeah, but 40 hours of sessions, like twice a week or 3 times a week, just to master the basic. Yeah, with of course a lot of practice again. There's no point of learning without practicing. Yeah, so 3 months would be ideal for understanding the basics and being able to have basic conversations with speakers of that language.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj, for that question.
Thank you for the question, Andre and Manoj.
Yeah.
So from this question and answer session, I get to learn more. For example, Andre says that as a teacher, you get nervous also. I didn't know that. I wish I know that when I become the high school student, so that I can annoy my teacher more. And regarding the translation, yeah, I get to learn that even though you are a teacher, you are not you don't know everything. For example, I remember at high school, I asked my English teacher, what is the translation of capung? Do you know capung, the animal? The animal, it is dragonfly in English. And my teacher didn't know that at that time. So he honestly said that I didn't know, I need to check on the dictionary. And as long as the teacher have the learning attitude like Andre, I'm sure Andre is someone who have the learning attitude. Even though he is a teacher, he keep on improving himself and learn from his colleague. And regarding the how long you can learn a new language, yeah, I think you are correct, Andre. It varies from each people. For a slow brain like me, it took forever to learn a new language. Yeah, thank you for the question. And we have another question at the chat box from Arofiatus. Here's the question. Could you please describe your first meeting with new students to make them keep learning with you? Maybe you have some strategies. Could you please describe your first meeting with new students to make them keep learning with you? Maybe you have some strategies.
Thank you. Thank you for the questions, Arofiatus. In the first session, normally in teaching languages, so I would not only be the one who speak most of the time, but I would always give the time to my students to practice and to do the learning, because practice is what they really need. Yeah, so if I have to teach a class, sometimes I do lots of different learning activities in that session. I could do pair work, I could do group work where students can learn not only from me, but also from their friends. I believe that students make better progress if they practice, especially in learning a language, not only with the teacher, but also with others. So I am a big believer of the social constructivism theory, where students can learn with and from other students. And they, as I said earlier, can make better progress in their learning. I know it's quite challenging for some weaker students, yeah, but by having that experience, yeah, sometimes they can be more motivated to be at least, yeah, be better like their friends, or be good as their friends, or become better. Yeah, so I try as best as I can to give the opportunity for them to practice by doing pair work or group work, or sometimes role play, so they can get the most from each learning session. So for one-to-one, okay, yeah, for one-to-one, there's just a question in the chat. Yeah, so what I normally do with my one-to-one students is that I send them the learning materials and exercises in advance, so it could give them time to learn and practice on their own before they meet me. So during the one-to-one sessions, we can spend the whole sessions discussing of what they have learned, they have understood. So it makes it easier for us during the sessions to talk or to go deeper into what is like the focus of the learning and then the goal of the learning. So then the students can be more motivated as well. So sometimes giving them extra challenges, or ask them to do something that is pretty challenging for them, can help them be more motivated as well. Yeah, so it's I always find either one-to-one or a class as interesting as like teaching in the class face to face, even though we only do online. So sometimes I also use like features or apps, or sometimes platforms that can help them learn more, not only from our interactions, but also from like YouTube videos on YouTube, and also some vocabulary games or exercises on Quizlet, or also with another platform like Padlet. So yeah, lots of different activities that you can do, basically, even though you only have to do one-to-one session online. Yeah, that's all. Any other question?
Okay, thank you, Andre. So your strategy is to keep it interactive and make your student practice.
Yeah,
So it would keep their motivation in learning. Thank you.
that's right.
Yeah, we have another question
That's right. From
Afisi Sabri. Yeah, go ahead.
Sabri.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Most of my students from Australia, they are people who are already retired. So they're around 60 or more than 60, but they're still motivated in learning Indonesian. And sometimes I can see that they speak better Indonesian than other students, high school students, because they've got lots of experience. And with students at this age, you just need to find out their interests, their motivations, and also what they love about in their lives. So if you can tailor or customize the learning materials based on the topics that they're interested in, I believe, that they can be more motivated in learning. So if sometimes it's also difficult. I've got a couple from the USA, a husband and wife, who have slightly different backgrounds, and slightly different, I would say, level of understanding language, or sometimes, learning a language also requires, I'm not saying it's a talent, but it's like, if you've heard Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, so some people, they love art, some people, they love logical mathematics, some people love the nature, some people love sports, they're very active physically, some people love different kinds of things. So it means that every student is unique. So find, that's multiple intelligences theory by Howard Gardner in his book, Frame of, so it's Howard Gardner. I think it's a very good book, everyone, if you'd like to read. Howard Gardner. It's multiple intelligences. Oops, sorry. I type to everyone. Intelligences. That one. So at least there are 7. I think at the beginning of his book, he said there are 7 different kinds of intelligences that people have, and everyone is unique. Every student is unique. So by knowing what their interests are, what their passions are, I think it can help you to really find the right learning materials and the right strategy to help them learn and practice in order to achieve their learning goals. So that's what I can share. I hope it answered your question, Afisi Sabri.
Thank you, Andre.
Yeah,
I remember I read Multiple Intelligences by Howard Gardner. If I'm not mistaken, he added the 8th intelligence, which is spiritual intelligence. Is it?
Yes.
Spiritual.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Interesting book.
That's true.
Thank you.
Thank you
He also mentioned that some people are extrovert and some people are introvert. So but that doesn't mean that they have only weaknesses. Both of them, they have strengths and weaknesses. You just need to find out how you can work on it together.
The knowledge from his book makes me able to tolerate my wife. I think that at his spatial intelligence, cannot navigate clearly through the small alley and bump our car multiple of times. So that knowledge make me more tolerable with my wife.
Oh, great. I'm glad to know you find it useful, Agus.
And Andre, maybe you can type your website if you have that information. Kaylin asks in the chat.
Oh yeah, Kaylin, I don't really have personal website, but you can search my name on Google and you can find my LinkedIn profile, and also I've got YouTube videos that you can watch. But the most important thing, you've got my WhatsApp number and email address. So we can always communicate. And yeah, we're friends on Facebook as well. So if you need me, yeah, in about learning Indonesian, I'd be very happy to help you. Yeah, yeah. I did mention, yeah, I'd love to go to Melbourne.
You have many people interested in learning Bahasa Indonesia from Australia, from Brunei. Alan would like to learn Bahasa Indonesia.
Alan speaks very good Bahasa.
Yeah, I know.
We just watched his video delivering 3 languages speech. Yeah, that was amazing, Alan. Yeah, it can be a good motivation for other students. Yeah.
Alan is a polyglot.
That's right. That's right. Yes. Yeah. That was wonderful. I wish I could be like you too, Alan.
And I hope Andre can set up many Bahasa Indonesia Toastmasters Club as the place as the place for your student to practice their Bahasa Indonesia. So anyone else would like to ask question to Toastmaster Andre? Anyone else? If no one would like to ask question, maybe we should take a picture. Maybe you can.
If it's okay, I'd like to show a very short video.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I hope you can learn from this video. Yeah, so maybe some of you have watched this. This is the guy that I believe you know, Chris Hemsworth.
Yes.
Baik-baik saja.
Oh my God, you really can speak Bahasa.
Okay. Siapa namamu?
Arif. And I'm his wife. I'm Tiara.
Nama saya Chris.
Wow.
He's saying, my name is Chris.
No.
And now he's counting in Bahasa Indonesia.
You can speak Bahasa.
Sembalam Indonesia. Apa kabar?
Baik-baik.
Siapa namamu?
Cinta Kio.
Nama saya Chris.
Wow, bahasa Indonesianya bagus.
Bagus.
Bagus means good.
Bagaimana cuaca hari ini?
What's the weather like today?
Cuacanya baik.
Wow. You
Tapi bahasa Indonesianya bagus.
Terima kasih to all the Indonesian fans, and you're gonna love the movie. Bagus sekali.
Bagus sekali.
Bagus sekali.
How much do you know?
I know a lot in Indonesian. Right?
Apalagi yang Anda bisa bahasa Indonesia?
Is that how did I learn Indonesian?
What else do you know?
Oh no, that's pretty much used up my Indonesian. I learned Indonesian in school, and Indonesia's like
really?
a 5-hour
Australia's
flight.
south
We're
of
like 5 hours away.
Indonesia.
So that's something you guys learned.
Yeah, Darwin's only 3 hours away from Bali, or even less.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah. Where I was from, like, well, Melbourne, Sydney, it's like a 6-hour flight or something. But we learned it in school too.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had many Australian teachers growing up as well. But terima kasih atas waktunya.
Terima kasih.
Have a good
Really?
day.
Oh man.
All right. Yeah, terima kasih means thank you.
Thank you for the video, Andre. Everyone, would you like to turn on your video and let's take a quick picture of us together? Let me do the picture. Okay. Everyone, smile. Let me check the result first. Wait. Wait. Okay, we have the picture. Thank you. So everyone, thank you very much for coming to the center stage. And I would like to invite all of you to come again for our next center stage, which is the same room, the same time, which is in the next 2 weeks. In the next 2 weeks will be 22nd of July, the same time. The speaker will be Toastmaster Andri Permana. The title of the center stage is A Walk in My Life. A Walk in My Life. He said that no need to run, if you want to grow along the way. So I will see everyone in the next 2 weeks. Please come again and visit our center stage. Everyone, thank you for coming, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you
Thank
enjoyed the
you.
session.
Yeah. Well done,
Thank you,
Andre.
everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Andre.
Thank you,
so much.
Miranda. Yeah.
Thank you.
Come
Thank you.
Thank
again.
you.
Please
Thank
come
you very
again.
much.
Thank
Yeah.
Happy
Yeah.
to
Miss
join you all.
Apisi.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Janet.
Janet, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you,
Yes.
Andre.
you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Looking
you.
forward for your
Yong
next
Niadi.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you.
Yeah. You'll be
Well done,
updated on our
Andre.
next meeting. Betty,
Yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
joining us. Yeah.
Yeah. Well done, Andre. This
Well
is the big
done.
we have so far.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Miranda. Yeah.
They're very interested. I think it was very, very useful information. For a lot
I
of-
didn't realize the time went very quickly. Yeah. So I couldn't really share lots of yeah, I've got a lot to share basically. Yeah, but
You're
Yeah,
really
well-
naturally, you can even speak for 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, since we're not having evaluator, I think the speech could be longer.
Yeah.
Because today, I think Andre finishes before, our time, before the hour. And so we had almost half an hour, a little over half an hour of Q&A. But it was very good, very useful.
It was very good, but because shucks. I didn't
Sorry,
know-
go ahead, Charm.
Yes, it was very good,